So he uses one sticky bomb, 6-second cooldown apparently. Uses blast off to close the gap and bombs him again. That is insane.
Banana slam jam.
BSJ back here. We got ourselves a Topson replay review. Now, a hero that he's played over 10 times in 7.31 has been mid Techies. Before the patch even came out, I was secretly hoping that Techies would be reworked into a mid hero of sorts. And when we're looking at his kit, honestly, I'm thinking of a hero that resembles somewhat like Leshrac. Early game, he's got some decent nukes. Laning stage, not all that strong. His level 6, though, gives him the ability to flash farm and push towers, if it's given him the chance. And the biggest thing is that he operates on no cooldowns, and that he can kind of just, like, run around the map as need be, and participate in pretty much every fight that is within range. I really wanted to see what he was doing, because he has pretty decent success with it already. Almost a 70% win rate, a 69% win rate, to be exact, across 13 games. And we're going to go and check it out. So he starts the game with a lot of damage. Techies actually got his base damage buffed a lot, apparently. I haven't looked at these exact stats, but it used to be like 35. So they've made Techies a legit laner. It's no longer CSing with 30 damage in the mid lane, which is basically just giving free farm to the opponent. So Techies does have really high range. Looks like he's prioritizing harassing the opponent at all costs. He's already clicked Kunkka over 5 times already. Isn't able to really secure CS is his only issue. But because he's Topson, he does get the CS anyway. Uses Blast Off for the range creep. That's worth noting. They did lower the amount of damage that you take from Blast Off. So that allows you to not just, like, kill yourself in order to use Blast Off. Blast Off is decently low mana cost, 100 for an intelligence hero. Very long cooldown, though. So it seems like its only purpose in the laning phase is to secure range creeps. He's going to go ahead and stack the small camp. Before the rework, you could just farm that small camp now with your landmines. But now you have to wait till you're level 6. So that definitely slows that down a bit. I did see him playing Techies prior to the patch, and he literally played it to stack the small camp over and over. I imagine now he's going to either clear it with Blast Off, or he's going to wait till level 6 and then clear a much bigger stack. The only issue there is he may lose it to the enemy mid. So it definitely looks like the early laning levels are a bit rough, as he gets a pretty late bottle since he went for a bunch of stat items. But overall, his CS isn't really that bad. Sticky Bomb does hit an AoE now. They buffed that in 7.31b. So as long as he sticks it on the Kunkka, if the Kunkka tries to deny the creeps, he'll be able to get the last hit. So the Kunkka either leaves, which allows him to right-click the creep, or he either leaves and lets him right-click the creep, or he kills with a Sticky Bomb. But actually, since the Sticky Bomb is AoE now, he does kill the small camp with level 5. Full to 0. So he gets an incredibly early level 6. Seems like it's incredibly important that you utilize the small camp stacks. Seems like a pretty standard mid laner, has mana issues. Gonna get his bottle refilled, which in our bracket's very important. Or, you know, his bracket, I guess you could say. Going for the mana boots. Definitely seems necessary based on what's happening so far. The mana cost on his ult's not too bad. 110 mana for 400 damage. It's a pretty good trade. Instantly clears the wave. So he's now pressuring the tower, but I assume he has the option to either go back and farm or go pressure the tower. So since he's got a haste rune, pretty limited mobility hero, he is going to run all the way bottom because of it. Looking for a quick kill. So based on this, he will do opportunistic ganks. But other than that, seems like he's primarily going to stick around the mid lane. Sticky Bomb seems pretty impactful in these fights. Pretty long range ability. It's a slow of 55%. And it's 360 damage. So that looked pretty helpful, all things considered. Never really putting himself in harm's way. Using one bomb to clear the mid wave. Pretty much full to 0. Now, he's not upgrading the Null Talisman, interestingly enough. Doesn't value the lowering of the mana costs. Notice how he is dropping his Mantle of Intelligence in order to mana boot. That's a very small efficiency thing. If you lower your overall mana pool and you use mana boots, it'll just increase it by a higher percentage. Very important to utilize that on Techies. Before the patch came out, it kind of looked like a meme because he wasn't really participating in fights. He was just farming really fast, and he went Maelstrom. But now, like, this Sticky Bomb long range plus Blast Off, the slow from Sticky makes it really reliable to hit your Blast Off, and then the bomb trigger time is way lower. So he's actually reliably using his spells in the fights. I don't actually think this is a meme. Constantly looking to fight. I think this is really important. That you have plenty of time to farm once you've won the fights, or taken the fights. But during the fights themselves, he pretty much stays on the back lines until abilities are cast. Utilizes the stuns of his opponents to get massive damage with those bombs. The old bombs wouldn't have triggered during that RP, but that's 400 damage. That is now triggering during the RP. That's insane! Look at that chase potential! He is gonna die. Goes Kaya first. Kaya didn't used to work on your bombs. It for sure works on your other spells here, but I don't actually know if that works on your bombs anymore. Or, like, now. Going E-Blade. I'd say this is some tech for techies, but the new E-Blade is quite strong. It's very cheap, and it's not as much based on your own primary attributes as it is the opponent, so pretty much any hero can build it. And the biggest thing about it is Topson literally has a side relationship with E-Blade. He is married, but then he also has a girlfriend on the side, and her name is E-Blade. So he seems to non-stop fight, but he does have to be a bit more careful with his positioning. Charge restore time is 19. So I think this used to be better, this level 10 talent, but yeah, it seems better to take magic resistance since you're using Blast Off. He just launches himself into the fight. This seems like a really big difference with the hero, is that you can use your bombs right after you blast off in. I've said that like multiple times, but he continuously is landing them. It's quite difficult to right-click those things before they go off. And so, he's really playing this like any mobile, like, gap-closing, you know, skirmishing, go in, uses his disarm. I don't even know exactly how this ability works, so let's read it. So enemies attacking techies are temporarily disarmed. That's insane, actually. So what he does in the fight is that he launches himself in, and then nobody can attack him because he just pops reactive taser. See, disarmed. This guy says stunned because it's a replay bug, but both these guys are disarmed. He just jumps in and then disarms everyone around him for 2.4 seconds, which gives him plenty of time to just disengage and then look to re-engage. That's kind of cool. Okay. So as long as most of their damage is right-clicks, you kind of just get out. This obviously wouldn't work if the opponent has a lot of magic damage, so maybe consider that the opponent cores are heavy right-clickers. Like in this case, Kunkka right-clicks, same with Monkey King. Even Axe early game calls you and then tries to right-click you down. Man, he played that fight so well. In and out, in and out. Winding around the trees. The thing I'm noticing about Techies is he doesn't ever have to stand still to deal his damage. Very low cast time on his sticky grenades. Blast Off moves him around. Pretty quick cast time as well on his ultimate. And then reactive taser, he's allowed to just run around. So, looks like he's totally willing to blow all of his mana to go back to base. Get that next item. This is very similar to Leshrac. Very similar. Your main limitation seems to be mana. And as long as you're alive, you're doing a ton of damage. The only difference is this is more of like a squishy mobile version. But you're all about spellcasting. And none of your spells really hold you in place. So quick AFK. Go to the bathroom probably. Has the E-Blade. The E-Blade seems even better than I originally thought because people can't destroy your mines when you E-Blade them. And since you also slow them with the E-Blade, it's pretty impossible to get away from it, I imagine, unless you're like BKB'd or Force Staff. And most cores don't have these items. So he is pretty far ahead, but I feel like he's a huge part of why they're ahead right now. And if they weren't able to fight, I imagine he would look to go like Ether Lens Like, he'd go Kaya for the damage, but then I imagine he'd go, like, Etherlin's bots. You know, he'd go, like, a more farm-oriented build. Because what I'm seeing is, outside of the fights, he farms really fast. You know, he's been a part of 18 kills at 16 minutes, and he's still got almost 100 CS. He's actually trying to set up kills now for his team. Very quick decision-making. Gets the kill mid. Immediately TP's mid. Chase down the axe. Yeah, they have a really good hunting lineup. Slark hunts, Tusk hunts, Pudge hunts. So with this lead, he's trying as much to play for kills. And it's also Topson, so I don't think his lineup has to be a kill-heavy lineup. He'll just do this anyways. So he is going for the Octarine Core. Cast range, cooldown, and mana pool seem very strong in all regards. Also gives him some survivability. The only problem is if he does get initiated onto, he's going to be dead as shit, so. Seems like a little bit of a hiccup. Okay, the game's gotten a little bit more interesting. So now that it's not a complete stomp, let's see what he does next. So he's actually going to TP in, go again. He knows they have no boat. Axe is dead. That 20% magic resistance does make him noticeably tanky. But he is still going to go down. But he does manage to stall long enough for his teammates to get there. Now, this strategy may not be the most reliable, especially in lower MMR pubs, but you gotta admit that was a pretty selfless play that was a net positive because his team's gonna be able to turn it into Roche. They defended mid-tower. I feel like it's really hard to push into Techies, not for the same reasons that it used to be. He just one-shots creep waves really easily now. Okay, so another hiccup. Team no longer turns it into Roche, maybe even throwing it to the enemy team, but they're not able to do it. SEA Dota's insane, guys. This is non-stop fighting. As that is the 4th time in a row that he has blast-offed into a Blade Mail call. Yeah, the biggest thing I note is, like, my impression of the hero before I watched this replay, knowing that he was playing him mid, was that this hero just has no cooldowns. Like, this has been non-stop battling for 22 minutes. There are 55 kills in this game. Quick maths, that's over 2 kills per minute, guys. What do you take for the 15 talent? He took blast off damage. I mean, what does this do now? 700 damage. And it only does 20% damage to you now? With the 20% magic resistance? You can actually just blast off virtually for free. And he's even got a nether shawl now, so it takes even less damage. In the past, you literally killed yourself with blast off. That's just so much damage. Oh. Is this Arteezy playing Techies? The illusion rune dodge on the call? Oh! I mean, I know they're winning pretty hard, but that's pretty dirty. This is definitely not the Techies of old. This is not the sit in place, placing mines, being AFK. This actually looks really fun. It doesn't seem like that hard. Maybe the illusion rune dodge. When I say that hard, I'm just like, conceptually, you clear creeps instantly and then just go to fights. He's like blasting off creep waves or mining creep waves and then you instantly go to fights. The farm potential on this hero is insane because you don't take very long to farm. And he's never really jungling. I'm noticing this. I don't think he's jungled other than finishing his E-Blade this entire game. And maybe the small camps at the start. But look how he's just running around the map. Hunting, hunting, hunting. Non-stop. Obviously, he'd be forced to be a bit more passive if the game was closer, but... Yeah, man, I actually like this a lot. The game's pretty stompy. It's going to end in like 3 or 4 minutes, but what I'm seeing here is no cooldowns, tons of wave clear that's like instantaneous, so you're very rarely showing on map. He uses his sticky bomb to set up his blast off. It seems very reliable. In team fights, he can blast off in, then use reactive taser in order to reset the fight. He gets his proximity mines off almost every single time that he's blast offed. He buys the shard because it makes his blast off now a stun, which is going to guarantee his proximity mines. It's honestly a decent initiator. I'm not even kidding about the fact that this hero with shard eventually becomes the late game mid laner you need. Like, he jumps in from a pretty decent range. It doesn't even say on here. 7-second silence that also stuns. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Topson Techies mid 7.31. Try it out for yourselves. I'm honestly convinced. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.